Swiss mountaintop, armed guards protect a secret meeting of the world's power elite. At Yale University, the scions of America's first families confess their sexual exploits from a gruesome coffin. In a smoke-filled room, a handful of power brokers manipulate the global economy. These are the purported activities of some of America's secret societies, groups with names like Bilderberg, Skull and Bones, and the Trilateral Commission.
What people were going to see is going to make their hair curl. What's been going on in front of their face and behind their back all their lives, while they thought a completely different story was unfolding.
A lot of people are familiar with the more famous names that are connected to these secret societies, Henry Kissinger, David Rockefeller, et cetera, but there are literally hundreds of top-level, very powerful people who are at the inner core of these secret societies.
From the United States' earliest history, secret societies such as the Freemasons and the Oddfellows have existed. Their rituals, symbols, and secret handshakes have offered an endless source of fascination and speculation for the uninitiated. Now, according to a small but growing number of conspiracy theorists, these purportedly benign institutions are part of a sinister plot.
There is, in truth, a hidden hand that's working behind the scenes, behind all these apparently unconnected organizations. And they are advancing quietly, unseen, an agenda for world government, world central bank, world currency, world army, and a microchip population. And it's not done openly, because if we knew that was the agenda, we'd scream very loudly.
And you go look through history, and history is just one long list of conspiracies. In fact, I often tell people, if it's not an act of God, it's a conspiracy.
I've yet to see a clandestine effort by the so-called secret societies to gain power and to harm other people or to fulfill their own ambitions through that power.
To trace the history of America's secret societies and divine their true motivations presents a unique challenge. By its very definition, a secret society is secret, and its rituals and symbols are not easily uncovered. There are thousands of books, media reports, and internet sites all professing to know the true history of these societies, but few agree on what that truth is.
It's a kind of pseudo-scholarship. It has the form of real scholarship, but it doesn't follow any of the logical rules that are required by scholarship.
Although there are hundreds of secret societies operating in the United States, there are a few whose names appear frequently. They are the Freemasons, Skull and Bones, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and the most secretive of all, Bilderberg. Although many of these groups have a public face and diverse membership roles, conspiracy researchers like David Icke believe these groups are all controlled by one elite group.
The structure by which the world is controlled by a few people, literally a handful at the very top, is like Russian dolls, one doll inside another, inside another, inside another. I call this web in which they all fit, the Illuminati, the illuminated ones, illuminated into knowledge that the rest of us don't get. And that Illuminati has been manipulating for centuries to bring about what is now appearing before our eyes.
The notion of a few hands that surreptitiously pull all the strings is not new. It is as old as the oldest secret societies.
With some of the most famous people in the world today, you find that their rituals are an absolute mirror of the ones that were carried out in Babylon, in Egypt, and the ancient world in general. It's an unbroken span of manipulation from the far ancient world to the present day.
While it's difficult to pinpoint when the world's first secret societies were formed, cuneiform tablets from the Sumerian civilization may suggest it is as early as 2500 BC. But we do know that Egyptian pharaoh Thutmose III creates in 1500 BC a group that follows the modern definition of a secret society: elite members who perform secret rituals and possess secret knowledge they use to influence civilization.
They were the people that built the fantastic structures like the pyramids and stuff with knowledge that a primitive people would never have been able to do.
The reason a lot of the ancient knowledge had to be kept secret was simply because the knowledge they had would have empowered the people. And that is not what the ruling leadership desired.
By the end of the first millennium AD, one small group of 9 French crusaders form under the name Knights Templar.
Now, the official story is that they were created to protect pilgrims visiting the Holy Land, right? Well, there's 9 of these guys for 9 years. I mean, they're going to protect a lot of pilgrims. Of course, it was a cover story. They went to Jerusalem, and they stayed there for 9 years, and they were searching for something, and it seems they found it, whatever it was. And suddenly things changed very rapidly. This small little 9-man organization started to massively expand.
Just what the Knights Templar find remains a mystery. The persistent rumor is that they find the Holy Grail, which is, depending on alternate legends, either the chalice used by Christ at the Last Supper or a piece of the cross he was crucified on.
It became one of the most, if not the most influential organizations in Europe. To join the Templars, you had to give them all your wealth and land, and they were signing up the noble families of Europe. They became massively wealthy, massively quickly.
The Knights Templar were holy, at the same time they were engaged in warfare. And because of these 2 attributes, they needed money. They needed money to pay for their warfare. And they had a real ability to raise money because they could call on people's piety to pay for their expenses.
For nearly 200 years, the Knights Templar gain hundreds, perhaps thousands of members from the wealthiest of the European elite. Although the total membership remains unknown, we do know the Knights Templar are able to amass a fortune they use to exert tremendous control throughout Europe by, in effect, controlling its largest private banking system.
They had the crown heads of Europe up to their neck in debt to them.
In 1307, the Knights Templar are almost wiped out. The King of France convinces Pope Clement V that they are not the holy defenders of the faith, but in fact are seeking to destroy it.
I think it was the King of France's desire for their wealth more than anything else, which caused him to turn against them. But the vehicle that he used to turn against them was a conspiracy theory. He found it useful, as have many kings and many other people since then found it useful to adopt a conspiracy theory as a means to attack an enemy.
Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, is burned at the stake in Paris in 1314. But a few surviving Templars are believed to have escaped execution.
The Templars went north, fleeing from France, to Scotland, and they re-emerged under another name, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is the biggest secret society in the world. Its membership pervades world politics, business, banking, the whole shebang. And it's the Templars under another name.
When we continue, the world's largest secret society comes to America, and its influence is enormous.
Of the 56 signatories of the American Declaration of Independence, 50 were known Freemasons, only one was known not to be.